Revelations.Unveiled. Detroit. Lynching in America. The murder, lynching, and treatment of black military service members. No matter the sacrifices of black servicemen, Jim Crow remained the law of the land at home and in the service. Black military policemen stationed in the South could not enter restaurants where their German prisoners of war were allowed to eat. Private Bert Barbaro wrote that he was required to observe a sign in the latrine actually segregating a section of the latrine for Negro soldiers, the other being used by the German prisoners and the white soldiers. He recalled, "It made me feel here the tyrant is actually placed over the liberator." Racial discrimination extended to veterans' benefits as well. Black soldiers were denied access to programs like the GI Bill of Rights, which was designed to reward military service and assist veterans with housing, education, and employment. The GI Bill was the most wide-ranging set of social benefits ever offered by the federal government in a single comprehensive initiative, and is often credited with creating the American middle class. Between 1944 and 1971, the federal government spent over $95 billion to provide benefits to veterans. In 1948, the GI Bill made up 15% of the federal budget. It created opportunities for home ownership, higher education, and vocational training, and also provided capital for veterans to start their own businesses. Before the war ended, black publications printed digests of the legislation and outlined the eligibility requirements. The GI Bill gave black soldiers and their communities a sense of hope that their service would entitle them to unprecedented opportunities for economic advancement. Unfortunately, those hopes went largely unrealized. Foreseeable flaws in the administration of the GI Bill led to a middle class that was overwhelmingly white. Like other New Deal legislation, the GI Bill was deliberately designed to accommodate Jim Crow. Indeed, racist administration of veterans programs was presumed. Senator John Rankin of Mississippi served as the chair of the Committee on World War Legislation and supporters of the bill, including the Veterans Administrations, knew it would not pass without Southern support. Though the bill contains no language mandating racial segregation or excluding African Americans, it was crafted to strictly limit federal oversight. Because the bill gave all administrative responsibility to the states with congressional supervision, state authorities had virtually unchecked power to discriminate against black veterans. Racial discrimination pervaded veterans programs, but the effects were particularly acute in the provision of home loans. Title III of the GI Bill made veterans eligible for low-interest home loans with no down payment. Very few black veterans benefited from Title III because while the loans were guaranteed by the Veterans Administration, they required cooperation from local banks. This meant that veterans first had to convince local banks to lend to them, which proved a daunting task for Black veterans because the overwhelming majority of banks routinely denied loans to Black applicants. Home ownership was the primary driver for post-war economic security and wealth accumulation, and it spurred the creation and growth of suburban white America. The GI Bill's failure to bring similar uplift to Black veterans and their families was evident from the start. A survey of 13 Mississippi cities found that African Americans received only 2 of the 3,229 home, business, and farm loans administered by the Veterans Administration in 1947. The Pittsburgh Courier charged that the Veterans Program had completely failed veterans of minority races. Once again, Black people were excluded from the benefits of military service, and the hopes of Black veterans and their communities were crushed by an unyielding racism that barred their entry into the middle class. Revelations.Unveiled.Detroit